Hey everyone, buckle up. It's time for our end-of-year tech deep dive for 2024. We've got a mountain of reports, articles, research papers, you name it, and let me tell you, it's been a wild ride. AI is basically everywhere now. Quantum computing is like right around the corner, and even hacking has gone high-tech.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? It's not just that each of these things is changing so fast, it's how they're all kind of feeding into each other. 2024 has been a total game changer.
Absolutely, and we can't even start this deep dive without talking about AI. I mean, Andrew Kagan, the CTO over at Planet Technologies, he actually said that what we're seeing with AI is like bigger than fire or electricity.
Whoa, that's a bold statement, right? But it gets you thinking, how do you even measure something like that? I think what makes AI so different is how it can use data in ways we never could before. Seeing patterns, making predictions. It's almost like this sixth sense for information.
And it's not just like tech people talking about it either. Governments are using AI to streamline stuff. The USAID is using it to predict when HIV patients might have trouble getting their meds in developing countries. It's like giving healthcare workers a heads up so they can actually step in and help.
And it's not just about reacting after the fact either. Kagan was talking about how AI is being used to fight wildlife trafficking, actually crunching data to spot those illegal shipments before they even happen.
That's pretty awesome, right? Talk about a win for the planet.
For sure. And speaking of big wins, we got to talk about cybersecurity. The impact of AI there has been massive. Like, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah, for real.
We've got these AI-powered platforms that are sifting through mountains of data threat intelligence systems that can learn and adapt on the fly. Heck, even vulnerability scanners that are specifically designed for AI. Companies like Microsoft Recorded Future, Google, they're all over this. It's like having an army of digital detectives working 24/7.
And it's making those security tools way more user-friendly for people who aren't, tech wizards.
Exactly. It's making really sophisticated security stuff accessible to everyone. But okay, let's be real here. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a flip side to this coin, too.
Oh, yeah. The bad guys aren't exactly taking a break while all this is happening.
Nope, not at all.
Larry Seltzer, that security researcher, he said something that really stuck with me. He said the speed of these AI-powered attacks is like a wildfire.
Yeah.
You just can't keep up with the garden hose.
It's true. AI is making these attacks super advanced. We're talking phishing scams that are almost impossible to detect, malware that's constantly changing, even attacks that can actually learn from our defenses and adapt in real time. It's a whole other level of sophistication, and yeah, it's kind of scary.
I've seen reports that companies are having a tough time managing all the different security tools they're using. One survey said almost 60% of organizations are juggling more than 10 different tools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster. It just makes things so much more complex. And it makes things like SR, security orchestration, automation, and response really hard to implement. SR is supposed to help integrate and automate all that security stuff, but with so many moving parts, it's a massive engineering challenge.
So how do we actually make SR work? What's the trick?
Well, the key is to focus on the things that really need to be automated, the stuff that's repetitive, time-consuming, prone to human error, not just automating for the sake of automating.
Okay, so picture this like analyzing malware. Instead of a security analyst having to manually go through every single sample, automation can do the heavy lifting. Gathering data, comparing it to known threats, even taking steps like isolating an infected computer.
Exactly. That frees up the human analysts to focus on the stuff that needs intuition and experience, the things AI isn't so good at yet.
So it's more about giving humans superpowers than replacing them altogether.
You got it. And think about it. We can even automate things like finding security holes in code while the software is being built, or running automated security tests. Catch those problems early in the game.
That's huge, especially now that so many people are working remotely and using their own devices. Talk about a security nightmare waiting to happen.
Right. But imagine this automation running scans on those devices, making sure software is up to date, installing security patches. It's like having this silent security force working behind the scenes, no matter where your employees are.
That's pretty slick. Okay, but phishing scams are still a big problem, right? I mean, those fake emails are getting so good. Even I almost fell for one recently.
Oh, I hear you. You're definitely not alone. But hey, the good news is that over half of organizations are already using AI to fight back against those phishing attacks. They're automating their responses, analyzing suspicious emails, quarantining them, even sending alerts to users before they click on something dangerous.
It's like a spam filter, but on steroids. But I read something that said SR is dead. Is that for real?
Well, it's definitely a bold statement, but it's more about saying that The traditional way of doing SOAR might be too rigid. Those predefined playbooks just can't keep up with how quickly things are changing.
So if LSAR is on its way out, what's next?
The hot new thing is something called hyperautomation. It's way more flexible and adaptable using AI and machine learning to automate even more complex tasks.
Okay, so less rigid, more adaptable.
Oh,
Got it. But can you give me like a real-world example?
sure. Think of it like this continuous automated red teaming, or CART for short. It's like having an AI red team that's constantly running simulated attacks on your systems, finding those vulnerabilities and weaknesses before the bad guys do.
So it's like a 24/7 security checkup. Always on the lookout for those cracks before they turn into a full-blown crisis.
You got it. And there are platforms out there that are already doing this. Fire Compass, for example, not only finds the vulnerabilities, but it actually tests how well your team responds to them.
Wow, that's impressive. It's like constant security drills, but powered by AI.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about compliance. I know it's not the most exciting topic, but it's crucial for any organization that's serious about security. Dr. Michael Lamb had a really interesting take on it. He called it provable security.
Provable security. That's interesting. What's that all about?
Yeah, so it's about moving away from just checking boxes and seeing compliance as this chore. Instead, it's about actually showcasing your security practices and building trust.
So it's not just about meeting those bare minimum requirements, but going above and beyond to show that you're really committed to security.
Exactly. And guess what? We can use automation for this too. Imagine automatically generating compliance reports, gathering evidence, tracking your progress. It's like having a compliance assistant working behind the scenes 24/7.
That would free up so much time for security teams. Less paperwork, more time to focus on those real threats. Totally. It's a win-win. You improve security, you build trust, you even save money in the process. And it all starts with changing how we think about compliance, making it a core part of the security strategy from the get-go.
I like that.
So this has been a whirlwind tour of how AI is changing security automation. From SOAR to hyperautomation CART to compliance, it's clear that AI is the driving force behind it all.
And it's not just a nice to have anymore. In 2024, AI became a must-have for anyone who's serious about security.
As we were going through all these sources, what were some of the things that really jumped out at you?
One thing that really struck me was that we're not just automating tasks anymore, we're actually starting to rethink entire security workflows from an automation-first perspective.
So it's not about trying to force automation into our existing processes. It's about designing those processes with automation in mind right from the start.
Exactly. And that's leading to a more efficient, more effective, and honestly, a more human-centric approach to security, where automation is there to help people, not replace them.
I like that. One of the sources even talked about how AI is being used to make security awareness training more engaging and personalized. They mentioned a company called Security Coach.
Oh, yeah. They're using AI to deliver real-time training to employees right in their inbox.
That's like having a personal security coach who's always there to guide you.
That's a great way to put it. It's all about making security awareness a natural part of everyone's workday. You know, for all this talk about fancy tools and algorithms, we can't forget about the human element that's still so crucial. We can have all the cutting-edge tech in the world, but without skilled people to actually run the show, it's not going to be effective.
It's like having a Formula One race car, but no driver who knows how to handle it.
Exactly. That's why investing in training and development is so important, and building a culture of security awareness across the whole organization, not just the IT folks.
It's about creating a human firewall, right? A whole team of people who are always on the lookout for those threats.
That's a great way to put it. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, designing those security workflows with automation in mind right from the beginning. Finding ways to make automation work for us, not the other way around.
Okay, so it's less about replacing humans and more about giving them the tools to do their jobs better and faster.
Exactly. It's about empowering people, not replacing them. And this goes beyond just those security analysts. Think about how AI is changing security awareness training for everyone. We talked about Security Coach earlier. They're using AI to actually deliver personalized training to employees, making it way more engaging and relevant.
Yeah, it's like having a security coach right there in your inbox giving you those tips and advice in real time.
Exactly. It's about making security awareness just a natural part of everyone's workday.
Okay, let's switch gears for a minute and talk about quantum computing. It's one of those things that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's becoming more and more real. And it has the potential to really shake things up in the cybersecurity world. Yeah, it does. It's definitely one of those looming threats. Quantum computers are getting more powerful all the time, and they have the potential to break the encryption that we use today to protect, like, everything, our online banking, national secrets, you name it.
It's a serious concern for sure. If those quantum computers can crack our encryption, it would be like giving everyone a master key to unlock any door they wanted.
It's a bit of a scary thought, to be honest.
It is. But the good news is that we're not just sitting around waiting for the quantum apocalypse to happen. Researchers and security experts are working really hard to develop new types of encryption that can actually withstand those quantum attacks.
And that's where post-quantum cryptography, or PQC, comes in.
You got it. PQC is basically a new generation of encryption algorithms that are designed to be resistant to attacks from both classical computers and quantum computers.
So it's like future-proofing our encryption, making sure it can stand up to whatever those quantum computers throw at it.
Exactly. And NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, they're leading the charge in standardizing these PQC algorithms. They've already picked a few winning algorithms, including Crystal's Kyber for general encryption and Falcon for digital signatures.
So Crystal's Kyber is like the all-purpose encryption, and Falcon is for those digital fingerprints that verify authenticity.
Right. And the cool thing is that these aren't just theoretical concepts. Companies like Cloudflare and Google are already implementing them, building those quantum-safe systems, and integrating PQC into their products and services.
So the transition to a post-quantum world is already underway.
It is, but it's not just about the technology. It's about raising awareness and making sure that organizations and individuals understand that quantum threat and what they can actually do to prepare for it.
Right. It's like any big technological shift, it's going to take collaboration, innovation, a willingness to adapt.
Absolutely. And it's not just a problem for those tech experts to worry about. This affects everyone.
For sure. We're talking about protecting our privacy, our finances, our health information, even national security. The stakes are incredibly high.
Absolutely. So what can we actually do to prepare for this post-quantum world? Do we all need to become cryptography experts overnight?
That's what I was wondering. What are the practical steps that people can take?
Well, you don't need a PhD in mathematics, but there are some simple things you can do. First, stay informed. The field of PQC is constantly evolving, so keep up with the latest news, and Research NIST is a great resource for this.
Okay, so stay informed. What else?
Second, review your own digital security practices. Are you using strong passwords? Do you have two-factor authentication enabled on your important accounts? Are you keeping your software up to date?
Those are all good security practices, even without the threat of quantum computers looming over us.
Exactly. It's about building a strong foundation for your digital life. Anything else we should be doing?
Yeah, what else?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Talk to your tech-savvy friends. Follow those cybersecurity experts on social media. Engage in conversations about PQC. The more awareness we raise, the better prepared we'll all be.
It takes a village, right?
Exactly. We need to work together to build that quantum-safe world. This whole PQC thing might seem complex and overwhelming, but it's really about staying curious, staying informed, and making those conscious choices about our digital security.
The future of cybersecurity is literally in our hands.
Well said. Now let's talk about something a little closer to home healthcare. One of the sources we looked at gave a really fascinating look at how AI is being used to actually improve both cybersecurity and patient care in the healthcare industry.
Yeah, and Microsoft seems to be leading the way there with their Cloud for Healthcare platform.
Right.
It's basically a suite of services and tools designed specifically for the healthcare industry.
It's like a one-stop shop for all your healthcare needs, but with top-notch security built right in.
What makes it so secure?
Well, it's built on a really solid cybersecurity framework that includes things like proactive risk assessments, advanced security protocols, comprehensive employee training, you name it.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about creating that culture of security from the ground up.
Exactly. Because you can have the best technology in the world, but if someone clicks on a phishing email and gives away their password, it can all fall apart.
I was reading about something called the Healthcare Adapted Orchestrator, but I'll be honest, I'm not sure I completely understand what it is.
It does sound a bit complicated. Essentially, it uses AI to pull together all this data from tons of different sources, and it makes sure that the responses it generates are accurate, reliable, and specifically tailored to the needs of the healthcare industry.
So it's like having an AI-powered medical expert that can analyze all that data and provide insights that are super relevant to those healthcare professionals.
That's a great way to put it. It's all about ensuring that the AI is actually providing useful and actionable information. Now let's talk about AI in healthcare more broadly. It's a topic that brings up a lot of questions for people.
It does. It's such a powerful technology with so much potential, but it's really important to approach it carefully and thoughtfully.
Absolutely. We need to be realistic about both the potential benefits and the potential risks of AI in healthcare.
On the one hand, AI has the potential to revolutionize healthcare,
Right.
making it more efficient, more effective, more personalized. But on the other hand, there are some legitimate concerns about things like privacy bias, the potential for AI to actually make mistakes.
You're absolutely right. We need to be really thoughtful about those potential downsides. One area where AI is already making a big difference, though, is in cybersecurity.
Mm.
We talked about Microsoft's cloud for healthcare earlier. It uses AI to strengthen security in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, like it can analyze network traffic for suspicious activity, detect and block malware, even help identify those potential insider threats.
It's like having an always-on security guard who's monitoring your systems, looking for anything out of the ordinary.
And it can also help with things like vulnerability management, identifying those weaknesses in the system before attackers can exploit them.
Being proactive is key. It's like having a security consultant who's constantly looking for holes in your defenses and helping you patch them up.
Okay, so it sounds like Microsoft's cloud for healthcare is really trying to cover all the bases.
Yeah.
But you mentioned employee training earlier. How does the platform address that?
Well, they offer a whole suite of training resources that are specifically designed for those healthcare workers. And they've really tried to make it engaging and interactive, tailoring the content to those different roles and responsibilities.
So it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach. They're recognizing that different people need different types of training.
Exactly. Because ultimately, cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
Well said. It only takes one weak link to compromise the entire system. Speaking of links, I wanted to ask about something called network segmentation. I came across it in one of the articles we were looking at, but I'm not sure I totally understand what it is.
Oh, that's a great question. It's a really important concept. Imagine you divide your house into separate rooms, each with its own lock and key. That's kind of what network segmentation does. It divides a network into smaller, isolated sections, which makes it way harder for attackers to move around and gain access to sensitive data.
So it's like creating multiple layers of security within the network itself. Even if an attacker gets through one door, they can't just waltz into the next room and take whatever they want.
You got it. And this is particularly important in healthcare, where you've got all these different types of data with different levels of sensitivity.
Yeah, it makes sense that you wouldn't want someone who has access to patient billing information to also have access to their medical records.
Exactly. Network segmentation helps make sure that that data is only accessible to the people who actually need it. So even if an attacker manages to breach the system, it really limits the damage they can do.
Okay, so network segmentation, definitely a good thing.
It is. It's a valuable part of a comprehensive security strategy.
It's all about layers,
Yeah.
isn't it? But, all this talk about cybersecurity can get a bit heavy. Can we lighten things up a bit and talk about the future?
I'd love to. What do you have in mind?
Well, I was reading about how AI has the potential to completely revolutionize healthcare, not just on the cybersecurity side, but in terms of how we diagnose and treat diseases.
Oh, absolutely. AI is already having a massive impact in areas like drug discovery and development.
Really? Tell me more about that.
So traditionally, developing new drugs has been a really long, expensive, and often frustrating process. But AI can help speed things up significantly. It can analyze massive amounts of data, scientific papers, clinical trial results, even genomic information to identify those promising drug candidates and actually predict whether they'll be effective and safe.
So it's like having a superpowered research assistant who can go through mountains of data and find those needles in the haystack.
That's a great way to put it. And AI can even help design new drugs from scratch.
Wow, that's incredible. So AI is essentially changing the game when it comes to drug discovery.
It is. And it's not just about making the process faster and cheaper. It's about making it more effective, too. AI can help identify those patients who are most likely to benefit from a particular drug and those who are more likely to experience side effects.
It's all about personalizing that treatment. Tell me more about that.
Well, it's about moving away from this one-size-fits-all approach to healthcare. We're all different. We have unique genetic makeups, different lifestyles, different environmental exposures, and all of these things can affect how we respond to treatment.
So it's about tailoring that treatment to each individual's unique needs and circumstances.
You got it. And AI can analyze all of that data, your genes, your medical history, your lifestyle, and help figure out the best treatment for you.
Wow, that sounds like the future of healthcare.
It is. It's incredibly exciting. But it also makes me think about the potential downsides. What about things like privacy and data security. What happens if the AI makes a mistake?
Those are valid concerns. As we embrace these new technologies, we need to be mindful of those potential risks and make sure that we're using them responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. It's a lot to think about, but it's clear that the future of healthcare is going to be shaped by AI in a big way, and it's going to be a wild ride.
It is, and it's a journey we're all on together.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to take a break. We've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive. We talked about how AI is changing cybersecurity in healthcare, and we even got a glimpse into the future of healthcare with personalized medicine and AI-powered drug discovery.
It's definitely a lot to process.
It is. But don't worry, we'll be back soon for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some of the ethical considerations of AI in healthcare and delve even deeper into those exciting possibilities that lie ahead.
So we were just talking about some of the big what-if questions around AI in healthcare. It's easy to get caught up in all the amazing potential. But what happens if things go wrong? What if an algorithm misdiagnoses someone or a medical device gets hacked?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like with any tool, the more powerful it is, the more careful we have to be. It's not about being afraid of progress, but about making sure that safety and ethics are built in from the very beginning.
One thing that really stood out to me as we were prepping for this episode was this whole discussion about hacking tools themselves. Like, who should actually have access to this stuff? What are the ethical lines we shouldn't cross?
That's a huge question, especially in the cybersecurity world. The line between offense and defense can get really blurry.
Think about cyber warfare, for example. Nations are using these super sophisticated tools to target each other's infrastructure economies, even elections. It's a whole new battlefield, and the rules of engagement are still being written.
And it's not always clear who's even behind these attacks. Is it a nation state? A rogue group? The anonymity of the digital world makes it really hard to hold anyone accountable.
It can make you feel kind of powerless. Even if you're doing everything right on a personal level, these bigger forces are at play that you have no control over.
I get that. But remember, even those small actions can make a difference. Being informed, staying vigilant, protecting your own data, it all adds up to a more secure world.
Okay, pep talk over. Let's get back to some practical advice. We've talked a lot about preventing attacks, but what should people actually do if they become a victim? What's the damage control plan?
First things first, back up your data regularly.
Ugh. That's one of those things I know I should do more often.
You and everyone else. But seriously, think about it. What would happen if your computer crashed tomorrow? Would you lose all your important photos, documents, things you couldn't replace?
Okay, you've convinced me I need to get on that. What's the best way to back things up?
Well, start by figuring out what's really essential. Photos, music documents, financial records, anything you absolutely wouldn't want to lose. Then you need to choose how you want to back it up. You could use an external hard drive cloud storage or both for extra safety.
So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread the risk a little bit.
Exactly. And make it a habit. Whether you do it daily, weekly, or monthly, the key is to be consistent. Okay,
backups are going on my to-do list right after this. What else should we be doing to prepare for a potential attack?
It's a good idea to have a plan in place. Know who to contact, what steps to take, how you'd actually recover your data if something bad did happen.
It's like a fire drill, but for cyber attacks.
Exactly. You need to be prepared for that worst-case scenario. And remember, there's an emotional side to this, too. Getting hacked can be really stressful.
Especially if it involves personal information.
It's important to have a support system in place, people you can talk to and lean on if you need to.
So backups, a plan, and a support network. Anything else we should have on our radar?
Stay informed about those latest threats and scams. There are tons of great resources out there. Follow those security experts on social media, sign up for newsletters. Even just paying attention to the news can help.
It's about staying ahead of the curve, understanding the tactics that those bad guys are using.
Right. The more you know, the better prepared you'll be.
Well, this has been a truly fascinating look at how AI and cybersecurity are evolving. It feels like we're constantly walking this tightrope between the incredible possibilities of AI and the very real threats it can pose.
It is a complex landscape for sure, but the good news is that more and more people are starting to take cybersecurity seriously. We're starting to see that shift from just reacting to threats to being more proactive and building more resilient systems.
And AI is going to be a crucial part of that. It's going to be incredible to see how this all unfolds in the years to come. Who knows what new challenges and solutions we'll face.
It's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure.
Well, that brings us to the end of our 2024 Tech Landscape Deep Dive. We've covered so much from the rise of AI to that looming threat of quantum computing and everything in between.
It's been quite a year.
It really has. We hope this deep dive has been helpful in understanding the key trends and challenges that shaped the tech world this past year, and maybe even gave you some food for thought as we head into 2025.
Remember, the future of AI and cybersecurity is in our hands. It's up to all of us to make sure that AI is used responsibly and ethically, and to work together to create a digital world that's both secure and empowering.
Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe out there. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.